Yo, what's up? We out here in the rain. So we're gonna call this video the rain talk. Actually, I never really shared my whole story about why I came to Singapore, American living in Singapore. Let's go ahead and get that story since we got some time. Nobody's around. All right, so this is how it breaks down. So I was raised in Philadelphia, or right outside of Philadelphia, called Chester, PA. I spent most of my childhood in Chester, but I was also part of an Army family, so we moved a lot during my time, from Germany to California to Texas to many places around the world. And I guess you can't really call that many places. I only said Germany. But anyway, so growing up with two brothers and just doing the normal thing that all Americans do. You go to school, after that you go to college, after that you start your career, whatever that may be. So I took a kind of a different route, or one of the routes most people take, because after I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I went to college because I was really good in track. So I went to college for 1 year. I dropped out, went to community college, dropped out. And then from there, I thought maybe I would just take some time off. So that's when I started working like a lot of odd jobs. I was doing a lot of telemarketing, jobs, a lot of labor jobs, because I felt since I was like not that I didn't get really no education, no degree or anything, so I was like limited. I felt myself being limited to what I can do. So those many of the jobs that I can do was a lot of low-skilled jobs, because I really enjoyed living in America. And during that time, that particular time of my life, I was just doing what I had to do. And actually I seen the world, just that one country, Germany, but I really never seen the whole world. So after I graduated, working a lot of odd jobs, and it's a lot of stuff in between, but I don't want to go too granular and too detailed. Anyway, so I end up, because actually my dad was in the Army, my mother's ex-husband, current husband, was in the Army, Air Force, and my two brothers was in the Army. And so I just thought that'd be a great move, just join the Army. Because in the US, if you ain't in school, you get a lot of these commercials: join the Army, get free education, get travel the world, get to shoot guns, all these things. So that was one of the things that kind of highlighted me. I said, wow, travel the world. I got a glimpse of it, but that would be awesome. So I end up going down, me and my friend end up going down to the recruiter station and finding out what's the possibilities. So I end up taking the ASVAB test, and the ASVAB test is a test that shows you what kind of job you can get, what's the potential for your career in the U.S. Army. So I end up going down there. I failed it once, or did I fail? Oh no, I actually passed it, but the score that I got was very low. So when it was come time to pick a job, the only job that was available was, what was it? Supply and infantry. Because I wasn't the brightest student. I think I scored about below 500 on the SAT. I think you need like 600. So that's why, actually, because I had a lot of scholarships to go to a lot of Division I colleges, but you need at least, I think, 700, 800 or something like that on the SAT score. So I didn't make that, and it carried on over to the Army. Can't get the highest score on that, but I ended up accepting it. I was like, because prior to that, I was just traveling around the United States, just living paycheck to paycheck. And so I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and take up this opportunity. So I ended up going down, doing my basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, down in Georgia. And once I went to it was 3 weeks or something like that, or a month of basic training, and it came down to your duty station, where you're gonna go. So a lot of people was going to Seattle, Washington, and some people was going to like Fort Benning, Georgia. Some was going to Fort Bragg, all over the United States. And stupid me, I thought when I get in there, I was like, nah, I want to choose Monterey, California, because I want to learn a language. But only one person out of 30 people got selected for that, so I wasn't that person. And so I end up sending me to Korea. And at that time, I was like, so once we found out our duty station, we had to go back home for 2 weeks. And so I ended up going back. And actually, I really didn't want to go back to the to the Army, I thought about going AWOL because I didn't want. I actually already had second doubts. I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to travel. I don't want to go to Korea. I'm gonna probably be put up on the border by North Korea. And so after a while, I having some thoughts about it. I end up going back down after my 2 weeks vacation. Oh, let's show you what's going on here. People fishing in the water. Nice. Yeah, so I end up going back down and taking a flight over to Korea. And the funny thing about it, I'm glad I did take that trip, because if I wouldn't have took that trip, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to be where I'm at right now in Singapore. So I ended up going over there, and they had a group of people. And one of the best things was my height. I was a very tall guy. So being tall actually helped me for being tall once in my life. It didn't help me too much in basketball, but once because they said all these people go over here and these people are going to Seoul, Korea. I don't know, got water coming out of here. Yeah, so these people are gonna go to Seoul, Korea. Give me 1 second here. These people are gonna go to Seoul, Korea, which is me and a couple guys, all the tall people. And so I was like, I didn't know the difference. We have another one called Camp Casey, and then we had Youngsung, which is right smack dead in the middle. So I ended up going into Seoul, Korea for 3 years. 3 years I was in Korea out of my 4-year contract. And that's where, get up on over here. So that's where it all happened. I ended up 2 years of just, doing a lot of different things over there, screwing around, being young in Korea, single. I end up, after the 3rd year, I was like, I really want to settle down, I want to maybe possibly get married. So I ended up going on the dating chat line and just messing around. And then the person I also met on there was also just put the profile up there just for the sake of it. But anyway, long story short, I end up meeting my wife on there. And I went down the first time, went down to Singapore, and I asked my sergeant, I was like, I need to take a break. I need to go to Singapore. I want to get married. Or I didn't, actually the first one I didn't say I want to get married. So I ended up going down there, coming here where I'm at now, and for 30 days, I was like, okay, this can work out. And so we talked about a lot of things. We went on some like mini vacations around Indonesia. And so after that, we kicked it off good. I went back after the 30 days, and then I came back after I think maybe 3 or 4 months. And I was like, this time I told him I wanted to go back and get married. I ended up coming back down Singapore. Hold on, we got the train here. Wow. I ended up coming back down and I'm getting married, and then after that I had 1 year left in the Army. So I went back to the Army, and both of us went back to the Army to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I spent some time there. Did my last year, which was intense because that's more of the real Army, the 101st Screaming Eagles. You can be deployed anywhere in the world in about 36 hours. So that was very intense. And plus the Iraq war was also kicking off. So it was like really intense. Even I think 6 months, I went to Jordan up in the Middle East. And then from there, after that, got out of the Army. Then I was like, after seeing Korea, seeing Japan when I was in the Army there, and seeing Singapore and then Indonesia, I knew right away that I wanted to make Asia my home. I won't fill in too much of the details, but long story short, that was 2001 during the 9/11, or 2002, and now it's 2024. So that's almost 22 years over in Asia. But it was a point in time where I think we stayed like 1 year in the US, 1 or 2 years, and after that we moved back to Singapore. And yeah, so it's just me, my wife, and my daughter, and we out here in Singapore, loving it. I just felt, and people have their own reservations about, is the US this, the US that, is living overseas this or that. But my perspective is, I just felt like I needed to change the scenery. I spent most of my time, my younger days in America, and after seeing the world, I knew there's a lot of opportunities, different cultures, different new things to learn, food, everything. And it was just an eye-opener for me how it's much different when you go abroad. I mean, don't get me wrong, America has a lot of good traits, a lot of things that you can really, it's a land of the free. People are always going over there to get opportunity, and there's plenty of opportunity over there. I mean, me settling down in Singapore, it's expensive. It has its perks, it has its goods and bads, but at the end of the day, You pay for what you want in life, and this is what I paid for right here, is being able to have different type of lifestyle where I have to put in what I put in is what I get out. And so here people say, oh, why do you live in Singapore? Not me myself, but just in general. Oh, it's safe, it's clean, is that? I say it's safe, but that's not one of the main reasons, because anywhere has crime, anywhere can go wrong. It doesn't matter where you at. Some places are worse than others, things like that. But for me, it was just about having a really quality lifestyle, and raising my daughter over here in Singapore has been a plus. It's the education, the culture, just being able to enjoy and being around different people and exploring. Because when you're in Singapore, you have multiple countries around this island which you can travel within 6 hours to Korea. You can go to Jakarta, Indonesia. You can go to many places around the world, and it's a very short trip. And so that's one of the things. I really don't have anything, but let's go ahead and take a look at this over here. Look. Yeah, so nice view, rainy day, and that's one of the things I like here is it's the greenery. The one thing that is different though, one thing that is different that I do miss that's in the US is, but it can actually go both ways. But you know, when you're in the US, say like you're walking down the street and you had a big football game, and maybe you're wearing one of the teams, the state shirt, the city shirt, say Eagles, and somebody walks on, hey man, you an Eagles fan? Or you going into a Walmart and people are like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? And then you can just pick up a conversation quite quick and easy. But over here, it's not like that. People are just stay in their own lane, more reserved with themselves, not really out there. But here, but there, it's people are more in tune, more friendlier. But I did notice in Singapore, once you talk to people, sometimes you can't expect everybody to talk to you. That's what I'm talking about. It goes both ways. You got to be able to also speak to people. You got to be friendly, and that's what I noticed. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, how you doing? And they'll start talking, hey, how you doing? And it's just simple things like that. And so that's why it's in my home pretty much for what's been my home for the last 20 years. And but retiring here could be a different ball game for the average person like myself, because it's a fast pace, it's expensive, and then so some of the neighboring countries that I'm looking to go to, that if I'm looking to spend more slow down pace, will be say Malaysia or Indonesia, and particularly maybe Jakarta, but Jakarta is more like Singapore. There's a lot of fast pace, a lot of traffic. But I was more thinking of Bandung on the outskirts, which is not as hot, it's very cooling, and it's more slow pace and much more reasonable when it comes to your expenses. All right, yeah, just those are one of the things you guys can consider, and which I am considering at some point. But right now, just take it as it is, enjoy it, and yeah, that's about it, man. But yeah, thanks for joining me on the rain walk, talking about how I came to Singapore, American living in Singapore. And some questions I do get: is there racism? How has it been by African American over here? I really had no issues. Maybe I had 1 or 2 issues, but I'm not sure as it was because of the pandemic, or one, I think it was because of the pandemic, because people didn't want to get in the elevator with me, maybe because I was African American, or maybe it was just been cautious. But there's sometimes people didn't get in the elevator before that, and so I'm not sure it was my skin, but that time I think it probably was my skin. So I do get that a lot, not a lot, or not so often, but I do get it. But how I look at those is maybe this particular person is not really in tune, or maybe they're just not so knowledgeable, because we're all human. It's just different colors, that's all it is. Purple, blue, white, red, black, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I put my pants on the same way, and they put their pants on the same way. But thanks again for tuning in to the Nichols Mindset. Let's go.